All right. We want to discuss about grid-tied inverter. That is the inverter system, solar inverter system that are tied to the grid. That means you must use the national grid. And that is why we are looking at it this hour. A grid-tied inverter in a solar system is a device that converts the direct current DC from solar panel into alternating current AC that matches the grid voltage and frequency, allowing excess solar energy to be sent back to the national grid. It allows the excess solar energy to be sent back to the national grid. And for this reason, the frequency and the voltage of the generated electricity from the panel must match the one of the national grid. So that when solar production is low, you can now use it from the national grid. And this particular type of inverter is totally dependent on the grid. And that is to say, if there is no national grid, you will not be using power. So this happens where the national grid is reliable and a client or an individual decide to reduce the expenses on the national grid. Then you can install this particular types of inverter so that as the grid, the solar panel generates electricity, it is matches the national grid and produce power for the office or for the resident. And when you are using it like that, you will realize that when there is this, when the solar panel production is low, the power that the solar panel generated when it was high, that is stored in the national grid, will be giving you back so that you can be using it. And that is why this one, at this point, this type of solar inverter is dependent on the national grid. Though reduce the expenses on the national grid, but dependent on the national grid. There are some benefits that it offers. Number one, when it has net metering. What I mean by net metering, this grid-tied system are cost effective, simple, and offer benefits through net metering. Outdoor, not providing backup, but during outage due to the world's absence of battery. But have it in mind that it doesn't have battery. And as such, when there is a total outage of power from the national grid, it will automatically shut down. So it do not provide independent power to the users. And that is why a lot of people are running from the grid-tied inverter. But in the city or in a place where the national grid is regular and the net metering policy is obtainable, it's advisable you use grid-tied inverter. Why? Because you may decide to use grid for 12 hours and decide to use the one you generated for 12 hours, even though it comes through the national grid. It's very, very important. Now, when we come to talk about the grid-tied system, the inverter system, the inverter synchronizes its output with the utility grid, voltage, and frequency, ensuring seamless power integration. Excess energy when solar panel produce more electricity than the home needs. The surplus power is automatically sent to the national grid so that it will be backed up in the national grid. And when it is backed up in the national grid, when the solar production is low, it can be delivered back to you. You will use it. If solar production is insufficient, for example at night or on a cloudy days, the system draws power from the grid where you have installed already. But have it at the back of your mind that grid-tied system do not require battery. That makes it very, very cheap. Net metering policy. Homeowners can receive credit or payment for the excess electricity they export to the grid through the process called net metering. And that is one of the advantages that you will harness grid-tied system in your home. Some advantages. Number one, low costs. These systems are generally simpler and less expensive than hybrid and off-grid systems because they lack battery components and complex management. Efficient solar use. They maximize the use of solar energy, reducing the electricity bill by sending excess power back to the grid. I think I've expatiated more on this. And not only that, easy of installation. The systems are relatively simple to install because it do not require battery, and for that it stands as one of the disadvantages of grid-tied system, that no power backup. The system cannot supply power during grid outage, and remember that it's grid dependent. You are solely dependent on the national grid. Let's look at how is what connected. Grid-tied system. As you can see, the national grid powers it. This middle line is the power to the household or the office or the factory where you want to use it, and this side is the connection from the solar panel. By doing this, you have automatically reduced your energy consumption by 50%, depends on your management style. That what you are recharging or the expenses on the national grid will no longer be there, will no longer be 100%. Automatically you reduce it to like 50%, 40 to 50%, depends on the solar system you have. And that is why when you contact Morigray Services Nigeria Limited, we design the off-grid, we design the grid-tied, and we design the off-grid tied. Now, the off-grid will give you the power during the day. And in fact, the way we design it, we design our off-grid in such a way that during the day you use directly from the sun, power from the sun. Now, after you use the power from the sun in the daytime, in the night, you can now use the power from the battery, the backup power. So, if your backup power carry you 12 hours, then the direct from the sun carry you 12 hours. That's 24 hours. And you can not to make expenses on the national grid. By this, you have saved a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to get more. Thank you.
This is the automatic changeover to switch on the inverter once there is no NEPA in the night or when the gen is switched off. I want to put off the NEPA now. As you can see, the automatic changeover automatically gives the house the light. You will not even feel that there is a switch over. The inverter is the one giving to the house now. The switch automatically. You see, that red light that goes off shows that no NEPA, no gen. But if you put it on, it will automatically switch over by itself.